any negative vibes built up anyway.
1.4 million, 1.6 million, $4 million in various fines against them. And Pennsylvania, if you go online and look at their rate of infraction, is just as bad today as it was 3 years ago. About the setback of the air pollution, Carol mixed up feet and meters, but it doesn't make any difference. The 250-meter setback seems a little outdated now, since the first and only long-term health report from the University of Colorado came out a couple weeks ago. And the main conclusion of the report was that it was based on air pollution, not water, but on the air pollution, that anyone within a half mile of a producing well has a 66% chance, increased chance of cancer or other diseases. So I want to put that out there. My question, which I hope to get maybe an answer to tonight, sort of underlies all these detailed things. In fact, it underlies this whole process that we're going through here now. And I'm just surprised that the media or someone else hasn't asked it, so I'm going to ask it. Underlying any recommendations or regulations that come out, there has to be a statutory framework, to make that into law. We are told constantly by all members of the government that it's okay to go ahead and do all this exploration now, because if we find out that things aren't safe, down the road a couple of years, we'll just stop it. So now I look at what's happening in the province, and I'll give you a hypothetical question, but it's a real question, in terms of what could happen. So you have SWN, who has just been granted another 2 years to spend their $47 million, on pretty flimsy grounds, I would add, but say they go ahead and they do everything they're supposed to do in our gas and regulations and spend all their $47 million, and they find a nice little patch of gas that they want to produce somewhere. In the meantime, as we've seen with virtually the entire medical establishment in New Brunswick and other places around the world, saying we should have a moratorium because this stuff isn't safe, we don't know enough about it to say whether it's safe or not, actually, So we get to this point where, SWN has done all their things, they've obeyed every law we put out there for them, spent their $47 million. The doctors say, no, it's not safe. Under what statutory or what act that you mentioned earlier can the Premier say to them, well, I'm sorry, SWN, but, $47 million poorly spent, see you later. It's a serious question, because if we can't do that, then all the stuff we're talking about now is just futile.
I thank you for that question.
I have a follow-up.
So, would you like an answer to that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm waiting.
Yeah. Essentially, in order to drill a gas or oil well, as we speak right now, it has to go through an environmental impact assessment, which gives the government the right to do a couple of things. One, they can not provide the certificate. In other words, they can refuse the project, essentially. That would have to be a cabinet decision, but that possibility does exist, that government could, in fact, say no thanks. Now, I'm not saying there wouldn't be political implications and financial implications, but the fact is, if you're talking regulation, they do have the right to say no.
Right. Well, and as you say,
the second question has to be asked in 22 seconds. Because you've eaten up.
Okay, I'll answer in 20 seconds. Okay, so then the question becomes, in this fantasy world that you're imagining, where we could actually tell them to go away without getting our pantsuit off or ending up as an international criminal, who would make that decision as to whether this is safe? Now, you're talking about a single